Hi, all. This is chapter 6 of Night, and so you guys will be looking at pages 81 to 82 in your copy. And what we're going to be looking at specifically in this video is the dehumanization of the Jews, as well as some character motivation. Specifically around Eliezer. All right, so we begin. An icy wind was blowing violently, right? But we marched without faltering. So already, even though we're just 2 sentences in, we're seeing that it's icy, it's violent, and we, the Jews, marched without faltering, meaning they are going steady amidst the violent conditions. Of both the weather, obviously, because it's icy, and also like the German oppression, right? The SS made us increase our pace, go faster. Faster, you tramps, you flea-ridden dogs. Tramps and flea-ridden dogs. So right here, this use of language, this animal use, animalistic comparison to the Jews, is a point of dehumanizing, right? He's calling them literally tramps, a type of dog, kind of like a homeless dog, and flea-ridden, meaning there's varmints, they're pests, right? And by calling the Jews tramps and flea-ridden and dogs is meant to lower them and make them feel lesser and even othered, right? Why not? Moving fast made us a little warmer. The blood flowed more readily in our veins. We had the feeling of being alive. So even though they are alive, they had a feeling of being alive, meaning that in other times they feel like death. Faster, you filthy dogs. Again, kind of that idea of the dehumanizing. We were no longer marching. We were running like automatons, right? An automaton is like someone who is functioning automatically, right? Or robotically. So even though this is not an animal comparison, it is still an act of dehumanization. So it is still dehumanizing. And it's taking away that sense of agency, right? The will, someone's willpower. The SS were running as well, weapons in hand. We looked as though we were running from them. And in essence, they kind of are running from them, but not directly. The night was pitch black. If you guys were in the Zoom session earlier today, we talked about night and to be mindful every time night is being used as symbol, right? So night was pitch black. And from time to time, a shot exploded in the darkness. A shot meaning, that's violent with intent to kill, right? They had orders to shoot anyone who did not sustain the pace, who could not, in essence, keep up. Their fingers on their triggers, they're ready, right? They did not deprive themselves of that pleasure, meaning they allowed the violent pleasure of keeping their fingers on the trigger. If one of them stopped for a second, a quick shot eliminated the filthy dog. And so now it's unfortunate. Even our protagonist, Elie Wiesel, is using dehumanizing, animalistic jargon to call the Jews, which now it started with the Germans, but now even Elie Wiesel is dehumanizing his own people, the Jews, with this comment. And perhaps it's because the Germans said it so much, so he got used to it. I was putting one foot in front of the other, like a machine, right? So kind of similar to that automaton idea. I was dragging this emaciated body, as that was still such a weight. If only I could have shed it, right? Kind of taken it off. Shed it should be like to take it off. Though I tried to put it out of my mind, I couldn't help thinking that there were two of us, my body and I hated that body. So now he is beginning to disassociate from his body, meaning there's two of me. My body is one and I am another. I, meaning maybe the soul or the mind or what goes on, right? So maybe Elie Wiesel is hoping to disassociate from the body because it's in so much pain, right? And that the soul and the mind, even though he has questioned God and he is angry with God, the soul and the mind is in essence eternal and the body is not. And so, there you go. And I hated that body. He's not even saying my body. He's saying that body, which adds to that disassociation. And I kept repeating to myself, don't think, don't stop, run. So he's saying, don't even think, don't use your brain, right? Don't stop, right? In response to that, don't think, just run. And so this has become automatic. Near me, men were collapsing in the dirty snow. Gunshots. So that's directly for those men. And a young boy from Poland was marching beside me. His name was Zalman. He had worked in the electrical material depot in Buna. People mocked him because he was forever praying or meditating on some Talmudic question. For him, it was an escape from reality, from the feeling, the blows. So for Zalman, we are seeing that his meditation, his prayer, right, this forever praying or this meditating on some Talmudic question, he is using religion as an escape, right, from the violence, from the pain, from the feeling, from the reality. And this reality is that violent and painful. All of a sudden, he had terrible stomach cramps. My stomach aches, he whispered to me. He couldn't go on. He had to stop a moment. I begged him, wait a little, Zalman. Soon we will all come to a halt. We cannot run like this to the end of the world. But while running, he began to undo his buttons and yelled to me, I can't go on. My stomach is bursting. Make an effort, Zalman. Try. I can't go on, he groaned. He lowered his pants, right, to relieve himself. So he's, likely going to the bathroom. And fell to the ground. So it's showing that he is so weak. He's saying, I can't wait. I can't go on. So he's going to the bathroom and he's falling over. And this is the image I have of him, right? This obviously is a very unpleasant image, right? Nobody wants to be seen in their most weakest, most vulnerable, marks. Vulnerable, right? And I don't believe that he was finished off by an SS, for nobody had noticed. He must have died trampled under the feet of the thousands of men who followed us. So he did die. He must have died. And it was the Jews trampling Zalman. And then look at this. Elie Wiesel's next words, I soon forgot him. And I began to think of myself again, right? And so that'll continue a little bit later. But as you can see, even though Elie Wiesel did have this connection with him, he's saying, I can't afford, he cannot afford to keep, thinking and feeling for others. Instead, he must be preoccupied on self, right? Because myself, who is going to get him through the Holocaust, through this time at the camps, it's not Zalman, it's not his father, it's not any other Jew, it's only the self. And so Eliezer is showing in this passage at the beginning of chapter 6 how painful this is, and how, your priority does have to be number one, your own self.